Hello and welcome back to another episode of Creators Corner, the talk show where I spotlight student creators on Longwood University's campus. And today is a very special episode with a very special guest, so let's get right into it. Today's guest is a talented baker from Richmond, Virginia. They're a junior majoring in psychology with a minor in neurostudies and have been baking since the age of 3. At just 9 years old, they won Chop Junior, and by 10, they were already running 2 cooking and baking businesses that are still active today. Wanting to share that passion with Longwood, they started LUBakes, a campus club where students can connect, create, and bake together. So I would like to welcome Claire Hollingworth. Claire, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. So my first question for you is that you started baking at 3 years old, and you even won Chop Junior at 9. So what are your earliest memories of baking, and what made you fall in love with it at such a young age?
So my dad was a stay-at-home dad, which was, crazy for when I was a kid, but he loved to cook, loved to bake, everything like that. And they don't exactly, want you wielding like a knife or like using a stove at 3.
Yeah.
So baking, we would always bake treats together to surprise my mom when she got home from work. And so that was really how I got started. Was I was 3 and my dad was baking anyway, and he's like, come get in the kitchen. So it was great. And then since then, I fell in love with cooking and baking, and that's when I got put in like professional level classes, which then eventually got me to Chop Junior, which was great. It's just really just honestly inspired by family, and then getting to kind of hone my skills.
What is that experience on Chop Junior like?
It was so much fun. It was crazy auditioning and everything like that.
You have to audition? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you have to. They did a casting call out to our studio, and they were like, "Hey, do you know any young talent?" And then they suggested me, so I had to do a videotape audition and do like a signature dish and everything.
Yeah.
And so it was like a process that took like 6 months, and then eventually they're like, "Yeah, we want you on the show." So then we did more videos and B-roll, stuff like that. And the actual show, we went out to New York. We filmed over the course of 2 days. It was crazy. And when I won, they were like, "This is so exciting. You'd have to keep it a secret though for like the next 6 months when we edit the episode."
Yeah.
But it was great, and being 9 and having that like surreal experience was amazing.
Cool. So you've run 2 baking businesses since the age of 10, and you're still active. So what inspired you to turn your passion into a business at such a young age?
So after you win Chop Junior, you get some prize money, and I was like, I don't want this to just go to nothing. Some of it went to college, and I was like, I really like being like, I like trying to inspire people. That's always something that I've enjoyed doing, and so I wanted to do that through food, and the best way that I could think of doing that was through a business. So the spice combination that I actually used on Chop Junior that helped me win is one I initially started selling, and then it kind of expanded. And then once I turned more to baking, I started my own little bakery that I still operate here, separate from LUBakes. But I really like spreading like joy through food too, which sounds so like cliche, but really like no one's gonna be sad if they have a cupcake. So that was my goal.
Yes. When you create a new recipe, what does your process look like from the idea to the final dessert?
So I work backwards, which seems like a little bit weird, but I can picture in my head what I want it to look like. I guess the best example is like the Mickey Mouse macarons that we're doing for Oktoberfest. Like I know exactly what I want it to look like, and then from there I work backwards and find the logistics. Like I talk it out with a friend of mine, and be like, hey, what do you think about this flavor, that flavor? And then we bounce it off each other. So I start with like the end goal in mind, and then figure out what flavor combinations and stuff like that would go well together, and then how I want to decorate it, and just build step by step from there. And it's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot. Like I'll test the recipe at least 3 times before I actually feel comfortable putting it out there or selling it.
Do you have a signature dessert or flavor combination that really shows off your style as a baker?
So if I'm going personal favorite flavor combination, chocolate and mint always. I made like chocolate mint cupcakes before, and that was just like absolutely lovely. But I'd say I really also like working with fruit and incorporating that. And like, I'll crack a joke that's like, aha, I'm fruity. But like, but genuinely it's more like I love like freshness and bright, and that's kind of how I consider my personality to be. So anything fruit related too is just, it's great.
Now, you're the president of LUBakes, the baking club here at Longwood. What motivated you to start LUBakes at Longwood, and how has it grown since the beginning?
So when I originally got to Longwood, I transferred in last fall, and although I'm lucky to be in an apartment like the Landings where I can bake, I know a lot of students who are in the dorms and can't really bake as easily, and ingredients are expensive. It's a lot of things. And honestly, I missed having a direct time to bake, and I started talking to friends around campus and other classmates. They were like, we love baking, like this would be great if you start a club. And I was like, oh my gosh, so like there's interest. We had 50 people at our first interest meeting last semester, and now we're sitting with like 30 members total, and we've just continued to grow. Our last meeting we had 20 people, which was huge. You know, we're in the Wheeler Common area, like spilling out everywhere. It's fantastic, and really just having like-minded people who love baking, and it's just such a positive environment. It's great. It's my little escape from like the rest of the week at college, and just honestly, you know, it's great enjoying baked goods afterwards. Like they're delicious.
Exactly. So, as a psych major with a neuro studies minor, how do you balance coursework with running a business and leading a club?
It can be tough at times, admittedly. I'm in some other clubs too, so my schedule's pretty packed. But what I try and do is, for example, I don't have classes on Tuesdays, just with how my schedule worked out. So that's when I set aside like 4 hours to do as much coursework as I can, trying to get ahead, and then, you know, leave room for surprise assignments, test quizzes. So I try and spend the time that I have during the day when I would be in class typically doing classwork, so that way my like 5 to 9 p.m.s Tuesdays and Thursdays can be just for the baking club. And then other days of the week, you know, if I'm in my other clubs or anything, I do that. But with my business, I am like squeezing it in whenever. You know, sometimes there's a late night or two, but it's definitely a busy schedule. But I try and manage it well, and I keep, you know, a tight calendar to make sure.
Baking and leading a club comes with challenges. What obstacles have you faced, and how do you stay inspired through them?
I think the biggest hurdle originally was just getting started. Starting a new club takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and at some point it was disheartening. I was like, is this ever going to happen? You know, but you have to get yourself out of that headspace. And for me, the biggest thing is, why am I doing this? Why am I overcoming the hurdles? Why am I like spending so much time and effort and everything? And it's because I love to bake, and that passion, if like when you have that for something, it can keep you going through almost anything. And so even though it's tough, even the late nights when we're sitting there doing dishes till 10 p.m. for prepping for Oktoberfest or something, I'm like, remind myself why I'm doing this. I love to bake, and it also helps sometimes having a lot of people counting on you. It can be a pressure, but a good pressure. You know, I mentioned we have a lot of members, and I keep going to just be like, I want to make myself proud. I want to make my family proud, and, you know, support our members and everything.
Yes. And my last question for you: where do you see your baking passion taking you after college, professionally or personally?
So post-college, post-undergrad, I want to get a graduate degree is my goal. And I plan to just continue baking throughout the rest of my life, whether it's I continue like my little business on the side, or if it's just for fun. I'm already the person that people come to like for a birthday cake, like, hey, you know, my friend's birthday, can you make something? Like, I want to be that person for people. And then honestly, my goal, and I know it's so far in the future, but after I retire, I want to open my own bakery when I don't have to stress about as much and, you know, keeping a household or anything. Just starting my own bakery is like the ultimate goal one day, and that's what I'm going to keep working towards, and, you know, keep creating recipes along the way.
Cool. That was insightful. Claire, thank you so much for coming on. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Seriously, I was so excited.
I hope LUBakes makes, you know, all the money during Oktoberfest with your Mickey Mouse cookies.
We got Mickey Mouse macarons. We have Mike and Sully cupcakes. We have Tiana's beignets. Sugar cookies from like Alice in Wonderland that say "Eat Me," and then we have poison apple cake truffles, which are like an apple spice dipped in white chocolate.
Sounds delicious.
I'm excited,
yes.
So you know, come out and support, I guess.
Yes. Thank you again for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
It. And here's a sneak peek into what LUBakes is cooking up for Oktoberfest. On Tuesday, I had the pleasure of spending some time with LUBakes. I also had the opportunity to meet with President Claire Hollingsworth once more to discuss the club's preparations for Saturday's Oktoberfest.
So today we're practicing our Mickey Mouse macarons, which is kind of our signature treat for Oktoberfest. It's a cookies and cream macaron in the shape of a Mickey head, decorated with like his little red pants and everything. And then starting our banner for Oktoberfest. So we split into two groups. There's a group of us who are really artsy, whether it's art majors or they're just really talented. And for today, they're focusing on our banner since we really need our sign done. And then the other group who are either wanted to bake today or are self-proclaimed not as artsy is practicing the macarons so that way we can kind of see if this is a good recipe and what we want to use. So we all had a suggestion form where everyone kind of put all of their ideas. Given the theme is like a Disney Once Upon a Time, we tried to stick within that theme, and then we made a giant poll and everyone got to vote. We knew we wanted to do like 5 treats to give people options, so everyone got to vote for their 5 favorite treats, and then the ones that won were what we ended up with. So we're really excited for Oktoberfest, and I hope you can stop by and say hi. Jordan just got sniff peeks, and we're very excited about it.
And that concludes this episode of Creators Corner. You can follow Claire and LUBakes on Instagram to see more of their amazing creations and to keep up with everything they're mixing up. And if you're on campus this weekend, be sure to stop by LUBakes' booth at Oktoberfest on Saturday, October 4th to grab a treat and support the club. Thank you so much for watching Creators Corner. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories from incredible student creators, and I'll see you in the next episode.